Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us again for this NAIFA-Texas member spotlight. I'm Bianca Alonso, and I'm the Government Relations Manager for NAIFA-Texas. And I am back to interview our August member spotlight. Today, we will be talking with Melinda Hipp from NAIFA San Antonio. Melinda, thank you for joining us today. We
Sure.
look forward to learning more about you.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Totally. So, let's just dive right into it. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up? Where did you go to school? How did you find NAIFA, or did
Sure.
NAIFA find you?
Sure. That's great. Probably a little bit of both, but no, I'm a native Texan. I grew up in Odessa and went to school at Texas Tech and grad school at SMU.
Mhm.
And I had about three different careers before I decided to land in the mortgage industry. And that was in 1998. And through the years, growing my business, I really got interested and decided to focus on the reverse mortgage or the HECM for purchase. And this really involves the 62 and over baby boomer and beyond that. And so part of my practice really involved reaching out to financial professionals, insurance professionals, CPAs, those kind of other professionals that I would see on a regular basis, and educating them about the product that I have available that could also help their clients. And so NAIFA was just something that came right to me because the kinds of people that were at the meetings, and I would go and visit meetings and get to know some of the members. And then they said to me, oh, yes, you would fit perfectly right in here. And so after that, I decided to, I did do some sponsorship and sponsored some webinars. I've been to the state convention. And I'm so sorry that we haven't been able to meet in person in this last few months because I really miss seeing the people in the chapter. And Lynn, who's the executive director here, she does a great job at communicating with everyone while we've been out, but it's just not the same as meeting in person.
You're not alone in that boat.
No.
It's definitely been weird, doing, what I've been calling this like Brady Bunch type of like Zoom.
Yeah.
You were right. In the Brady Bunch, they had like all the stairs. Like
yes,
that's kind
definitely.
of what I feel
yeah,
living in.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, that's great though. So can you talk a little bit about what you did before you got into this business and what I guess prompted you moving into this space? And did you have any mentors that helped you out along the way?
Sure. So yeah, it could be a very long story if we got started too far on it. But basically, I was educated and intended to be in the professional symphony business, or in arts management is what we call it from a career standpoint. So I went to undergrad as a direct music education major, and decided to go into the management business because I was good as a player, but I was never going to be a professional player, nor intended to do that. And my mother always told me I should be in management because I was bossy. I'm not really sure that's what you put on your resume, but that's what she always told me. So along the way, I thought it was the perfect spot for me. To use my abilities to manage and bring people together and take the music that I loved. So I did go to grad school for that, was in that field for many, many years. We moved to San Antonio in 1998. My husband's a member of the San Antonio Symphony, and he got a full-time job here. And so I moved here and kind of was trying to figure out the symphony didn't have really a spot for me, and the arts scene in San Antonio is not as vibrant as it is in Dallas or Houston.
Sure.
And so I was kind of figuring out what I wanted to do. And I did a little bit of nonprofit management for a while, but I was actually refinancing my house and talking to the gentleman who was helping me refinance my house. And I was like, that's really just kind of exactly what I would like to do. I like to work with numbers, I like to work with people. I kind of like to do things on my own time and not be on a time clock, and have more of like a project type management kind of position. And so really got in at a high time in 1998 was when really things were booming around here with another refinance boom.
Sure.
Not even anything like we've had the last year, but it was quite a big boom back then. And got mentored by several people in the industry, moved very quickly through to find a company that fit my needs. So worked with several companies in town, ended up eventually with Legacy Mutual Mortgage, who's a big mortgage company here in San Antonio, and they've expanded all around the country. And so really got to meet realtors, financial planners, all sorts of kinds of people, and really just fit my niche. I got really interested into the reverse mortgage business because Texas did not have home equity loans for years and years.
Right.
And so when we finally decided to vote those in the early 2000s, I was also taking care of my grandmother and got to meet a ton of folks in the senior marketing industry, which not a lot of people think of it as an industry, but before the pandemic started, it was really becoming a fast moving industry, lots of people in it. So I just thought doing the reverse mortgages, working with people in that age group and using the referrals that I got from realtors, financial planners, insurance folks would be exactly what fits my niche. And so this last year when I moved to Mutual of Omaha, I just really have taken it on full force. And that's all I'm doing, building a team and trying to get everyone to use their professional resources like NAIFA and other organizations around the state and their local areas too.
Definitely. And you actually touched on the next question that I had in relation to, I guess, you had mentioned that over the past year, you probably saw quite a few people wanting to refinance their homes or / even maybe scramble a little bit to get by due to the impact of COVID. And I guess my question is, what are some things about reverse mortgages that you believe more people should know? And what were some of the biggest or most common questions that you received over the past year as people were trying to navigate, their financial stability like so many people were?
Oh, most definitely. So you see a wide variety of folks. It's funny when you're younger and you're trying to save for your first home or make your move to get a bigger home, to put your family in and raise your family. Everybody kind of is the same. So they kind of have the same needs and they follow this pattern. But after people retire, the kids are out of the house, everybody kind of has their own thing. Some people, their kids are on the other side of the country. They're never going to come visit again. So they want one lifestyle. Other families are like the kids are living down the street and they want the big house and the swimming pool still to have the kids come visit. So everybody's needs are so different. But when the pandemic hit, it kind of made everybody sit back and reevaluate, I think, not only what they wanted, but what they needed. And so even though I still got lots of calls during the shutdown, it was more of people wanting to, well, let me think about now retiring full force. Maybe they hadn't retired all the way yet. So let me think about retiring full force. My job may not come back, or I'm just don't want to go back to the same situation I'm in, or I liked working in the office all my years. I don't want to work at home, kind of thing.
Yeah, of course.
So, and then some people just wanted to redo the house. I mean, they sat there in the house for a year looking at it going, oh, we really need to redo all the stuff in the house. So it's kind of an interesting mixed bag of folks. And all those things are things that the reverse mortgage, which is a type of home equity loan. So, but it's a type of home equity loan just designed for folks in that age group. So 62 and above. And so you can do a lot of things with it. But the number one thing people want to do is get rid of their mortgage. So you see a lot more folks in the older age group carrying a mortgage into retirement. And of course, when you get on that fixed income, all of a sudden the mortgage payment seems like, why did we keep this mortgage, going on into our 70s? And that's one of the first things people want to do is get rid of that mortgage payment. So you can utilize your home equity just to get rid of that mortgage payment by paying off that mortgage with your equity and then not having a payment on that mortgage, but you can pay it. So a lot of things people misunderstand is that if you get a reverse mortgage, it doesn't mean you can't pay it back. You can make payments on it if you want to, but I like to call it a payment optional option.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
if at Christmas time you don't want to make a payment on it and you want to spend that money somewhere else, then do that.
Yeah.
And the other beautiful thing is if you do pay money back, you can always pull it out and borrow it again in the future. And it's sort of like a revolving line of credit. So
Yeah.
put it back in, pull it back out, put it back in, pull it back out. And
Yeah.
so that's a beautiful feature that a lot of people don't understand. I think the other biggest thing that people don't understand is that even though it's designed for older folks, a lot of people think it's something you go to when you're desperate or when you're like, you don't have any other
Right.
where to turn. And the problem with that issue is that if you wait that long, usually you may have missed a mortgage payment, not paid your taxes, not kept your homeowner's insurance up. Maybe you didn't maintain the house, you stopped paying credit cards, and we still have requirements to qualify for the loan. So even though you're not making a payment on it, we still have to prove that you're going to keep paying your taxes and insurance in the future, because everybody has to do that. It doesn't matter if you have a mortgage or not, you still have to pay your taxes and insurance. And so we have to show that they can continue to do that. So when people wait till they think, oh, now I'm going to go get a reverse mortgage after I've missed mortgage payments, not kept the taxes up, sometimes we can't help them. And so it's really designed to be a financial planning tool, sort of another tool in the tool belt that maybe it's good for you in your situation. Maybe you really don't need it right now, but just don't wait till the last minute, because that may be the wrong time to do it. I mean, other myths that people have are kind of the typical ones you can find online, where people say, well, the house that is taken by the bank after they die, which is not true. It's just a regular lien, just like a regular mortgage, and you can sell the house at any time. You do always have an option to turn it back to the bank if you, in the end, you can't repay it, or if the kids say, I don't want to fly in from Alaska and put the house on the market and worry about it. You can always just give it back to the bank. You won't have any equity left at that point if you give it back to the bank. So, I mean, you do have to go through the process of selling it or refinancing it to pay off the loan. Other myths abound about the reverse mortgage, but those are probably the biggest ones that people don't understand. It's a very flexible product. People that don't have a mortgage have a lot more options, because they can do a line of credit, or they can take monthly payments. I see people that are much older utilizing it for home care. And now after the pandemic, people are less likely to move very fast into a group home setting. So moving into assisted living or moving into some kind of other care facility, when maybe they can stay at home and use that equity to pay for somebody to come into the house and take care of them. I mean, we saw people leave assisted living and go back and rent apartments and buy homes when COVID swept through those kind of group facilities. It's an interesting and useful product, and there's just a lot of uses for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really appreciate that you took the time to break all of that down, because I guess, in my experience, and I'm not a homeowner or anything, but I feel like, just from what I've read, that the concept of a reverse mortgage is kind of what you were saying, like a last resort type of route to go. So it's good. It's good to know that it's good to know that that's not the case.
Right. That's not the case. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, very good. Very good. So, I'm looking at my notes. So, kind of going back to your history with NAIFA-Texas, what has been your fondest memory of NAIFA-Texas so far? And is there an aspect of the association that you would like to be more involved in or learn about?
Sure. So if I had all the time in the world, that would probably be something that I would get. So my biggest love has just been the people, getting to know the people and making friends, not only professional relationships, but making friends too, and enjoying their company. Like when we went to the conference in 19, which I think was the last conference we were able to have. it was really fun to get to know them and then get to know others around the state that they knew and make those other connections, see the type of programs that got put on, but really just getting in with the local chapter and getting to know the people was really what interested me. And I think being around people that are kind of the same mind as you, as helping people and really assisting people with what their needs and trying to find the product that's best for them. When you get around a bunch of people that are that same mind, you really can enjoy their company because they understand how you think. So that's been a lot of fun. I mean, NAIFA offers a ton of programs. I think a lot of the webinars that we have, I wish we had more webinars this year because this last year, we haven't had as many as we've had before. But I think there was some really good programming that went on that was available for everybody. I took advantage of some of it. There's some things about certain insurance products or certain topics that really I can't understand them more than anything else. So, it's a matter of just understanding that language and understanding the nuances of what people are trying to talk about. But I try my best to do that. I think it's just really the people is what I've enjoyed the most. I wish I had more time to be involved. I like to pick and choose the things that I can be involved in because my time is just so not only with this job, but other volunteer activities I have. So I try to pick and choose things I can sponsor, things I can, I can make a leeway some of my time into certain activities. So
definitely. So I'll say this. I did do a little bit of research on you, and I saw that you are a golfer and an avid golfer at that. Can you tell us how long you've been golfing and how,
Sure.
Yeah,
so when I moved here in 98, I had already taken some lessons because I'd gotten very interested in just learning. When I was a girl growing up, girls didn't play golf. That meant something boys did, So, but I was always very active in sports, other kinds of sports that they let us play. And just something that appealed to me, being outside and having something to do out in the spare time that you had. So I really wanted to learn, took lessons. But when I got here a few years after I moved to San Antonio, there was a national organization called the Executive Women's Golf Association starting. And this was kind of at a change in our society where more women were going into higher level positions in corporations and different companies. And a few of the ladies in Florida really wanted a way for those women to take advantage of using golf skills in business too. And so they started that organization in Florida. It spread out all around the country. And we started the chapter here in, actually I moved here in 92. We started the chapter in 94, 95. And I was a charter member then and learned to play through the different education programs that they have. Over the years, we've changed our name. So now we are associated with the LPGA, which is the Ladies Professional Golf Association. And so now we are the amateur arm of the LPGA. And so we're the LPGA Amateurs Golf Association. And there's chapters all around the country. And I've been heavily involved in that as time was going by and all sorts of kinds of board positions. I was on the national board and served as tournament director for a lot of that time. I also got very interested into being a referee, which a lot of people don't understand that, yes, golf has to have referees more than any other sport. You have to have more in golf because if you think of 18 holes of golf, every hole is different. Every hole has different out of bounds. Every hole has different layouts. So you have to have more referees in the game of golf than you do in basketball or football, because that's on a very specific defined sport, defined court. So golf tournaments always have referees. They're technically called rules officials, but they're a type of referee for golf. I got very interested in that about 15 years ago and went through the rules school and have been certified for many, many years. And so I now volunteer on a local, state, and national level to do golf tournaments. And I'll probably do more of that whenever I retire, if I retire. So I'll do more of that.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really, really cool. I really had no idea that golf, I mean, and that golf really had referees to begin with, but it absolutely makes sense, because like you were saying, a football field is a football field,
Right.
but a golf course, that's acres,
Right.
right?
Yeah, it's hard to get from hole 18 to hole 1 when somebody needs you real fast. So
Yes.
you have to have multiple.
For sure. Well, do you have a favorite golf course?
Oh gosh, probably my favorite golf course was Pecan Valley, which is gone now. They have unfortunately gotten rid of some golf courses around San Antonio that were probably some of people's favorite golf courses. And Pecan Valley was actually a kind of a historical golf course.
Yeah.
And it was very sad, but land is probably being used for something for society that's going to be better.
Sure.
But I hated to see something like that old. It was a very old course, very, very old
Right.
pecan trees in the southern part of the city, and people loved it. And
Yeah.
there's great golf courses up in the north side, La Cantera, and the Palmer course, the resort, the Hyatt Hill Country. I like all the courses for different reasons because they're all very different. But
Sure,
that was probably
absolutely.
my favorite.
Yeah. Is there a golf course that is like your bucket list golf course that you want to go?
Oh gosh, there's probably too many on that. I mean, everybody wants to play at Pebble Beach. I've played at Doral, so that's not necessarily a bucket list. There's several up in the Northeast that would just be fun to play, maybe not on a man's bucket list, but from a female's perspective, where you're not hitting, 10,000 yards with your driver.
Yeah.
Like the men can do. There's a lot of more boutique kind of courses, I guess I would say. Some of the older ones that would be really fun to play that are probably too many to mention. But yeah, I mean, everybody wants to play at Pebble Beach. So
yeah, very cool. Yeah, it's so it's funny. I had no real golf experience, but when I was a senior in college, I got a job as a cart girl for one of the country clubs, like where I went to college at in Richmond, Virginia. And to this day, it's probably one of the best jobs I've ever had.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's one of because at the time I was 22, I was getting ready to graduate from college. And it was then that I learned how, in a way, how important golf is in any kind of like business relationship or just like networking, just an amazing networking opportunity and getting
Definitely
involved in your community with smaller, not nonprofits. And yeah, you had also mentioned that you're involved in other like volunteer capacities. What else are you involved with?
So, that's really kind of what I was meaning. So not only do I volunteer as a referee, so people don't understand that in football and basketball, there are paid staffs of referees. And even if you referee for junior high level or high school level, most of those guys are paid. But on the golf course, we're usually not. So until you get up into the professional ranks, where they have their own rules officials that they actually go around with the tours, every other level of golf officials are actually not paid. So it is a total volunteer for the love of the game kind of activity. So I do with that. And then my own golf group here in town in San Antonio with the LPGA amateurs. I've been volunteering with them for many years. And with Golf San Antonio, who also runs the First Tee, which is a nonprofit for kids to come up with programs for them. So volunteer with all of those groups. And then, of course, I volunteer with some of my own business groups, the National Reverse Mortgage Lenders Association. I volunteer with that group to try to help it talk with HUD and talk with the government about ways we can better the program. So I try to limit how much I get involved in. There are things I like to just do. So I like to stay at home some and pet my dogs and take care of them. So.
No, definitely. What kind of dogs do you have?
I have 2 miniature dachshunds.
Oh, so cute. Love
they
it.
are very cute. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Melinda, thank you so much again for taking the time.
It was a pleasure.
Definitely. Yeah. And it was really fun chatting with you and learning more about your background and all of that. And I hope whoever watches this know that they should ask you to play golf.
Oh, well, good. I'd be happy to do that. Just can't do it every day, but
One day, maybe.
one day maybe. That would be really fun. I really appreciate it.
Definitely. Awesome, Melinda. Thank you so much again. And thank you all for tuning in to this NAIFA-Texas member spotlight. We hope everyone's having a great summer. Take care.
Right. Thank you.
Bye.